Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So as we start with Shri Radha Madhava, just remembering this bhajan was composed by Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, whose appearance date is today.
Disappearance.
It's actually appearance day.
Okay.
I was wrong.
Okay.
Shai.
Jai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabhya Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Pujayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Padreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nankavati. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we're starting a new section. I chose a new section. This is also in the first canto. It's Canto 1, Chapter 8. We'll be on verse 18, 1, 8, 18. 1, 8, 1, 8. So this chapter is prayers by Queen Kunti. and Maharaj Parishit said. So Kunti, who's Kunti?
The Pandava's mom.
Yeah, the mother of the Pandavas. So Yudhishthir, Arjuna, Bhima, and Nakul and Sahadev. She's their mother. And so she was like a single mother because her husband passed away, and Pandu. And the 5 children had to deal with the intrigues of the palace because they were, as is pretty much the backstory of the whole Mahabharata, they were the rightful heirs to the throne. Yudhishthira especially is the eldest, but Dhritarashtra didn't want that. He wanted his son Duryodhana and his children to, because of his material vision. So they went through a lot, and she went through a lot. And after all of that, Krishna was with them through all of it personally, because they're all very, very advanced devotees of his. And so much so that, Krishna becomes a charioteer of Arjuna, all these things. And all these years later, at this point, everything's okay. All the mistakes and attempts to control by Dhritarashtra have been reversed, and the good guys win. They've been through it. But now, Krishna's going to leave their city. He's going to go somewhere else. And this is the context of Kunti's praying. So this is Canto 1, chapter 8, verse 18. And as a great devotee, she's going to offer these wonderful series of prayers. Kuntivacha namasye purusham tvadyam ishvaram prakritev param alakshang sarvabhutanam antarbahir avastatam. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you, because you are the original personality, and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Srimati Kunti Devi was quite aware that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, although he was playing the part of her nephew. Right, because Kunti is the sister of Vasudeva, Krishna's birth father. As we heard in the Krishna book, when Vidura, no, Akrura goes back to visit her, he asks how she's doing, and she asks about her brother Vasudeva and Krishna, although he was playing the part of her nephew. Such an enlightened lady could not commit a mistake by offering obeisances unto her nephew. Therefore, she addressed him as the original Purusha beyond the material cosmos. Although all living entities are also transcendental, they are neither original nor infallible. Living entities are apt to fall down under the clutches of material nature. But the Lord is never like that. In the Vedas, therefore, he is described as the chief among all living entities. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam. Then again, he is addressed as Ishvara, or the controller. The living entities or the demigods like Chandra and Surya are also, to some extent, Ishvara. But none of them is the supreme Ishvara, or the ultimate controller. He is the Parameshvara, or the super soul. He is both within and without. Although he was present before Srimati Kunti as her nephew, he was also within her and everyone else. In the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, the Lord says, I am situated in everyone's heart, and only due to me one remembers, forgets, and is cognizant, etc. Through all the Vedas, I am to be known because I am the compiler of the Vedas, and I am the teacher of the Vedanta. Queen Kunti affirms that the Lord, although both within and without all living beings, is still invisible. The Lord is, so to speak, a puzzle for the common man. Queen Kunti experienced personally that Lord Krishna was present before her, yet he entered within the womb of Uttara to save her embryo from the attack of Ashwatthama's Brahmastra. Kunti herself was puzzled about whether Sri Krishna is all-pervasive or localized. In fact, he's both. But he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. This checking curtain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, and it controls the limited vision of the rebellious soul. It is explained as follows. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna-prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paschati Deshtarane Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidanandamine Gaur Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Vanchakalpatrupyascha Kripasintu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Obeisances to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, without whose outstanding service to the planet, we wouldn't be here with the Bhagavatam. So, Queen Kunti is beginning her prayers by offering obeisances. This is very typical and very appropriate. The devotees do this, that she's going to get into her personal relationship with Krishna, how she knows him, how she loves him, how she sees him particularly, specifically, and her specific desires for service, connection. But she's beginning with obeisances, is because he's the supreme. And so she's not speaking familiarly. She's speaking from formality. She's beginning with tattva. Who is he? What is he? Before she gets into rasa, how do I relate to him? How do I love him? And this is common in our Shastra, the scriptural presentation of Krishna also. Before Krishna begins to present, like in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if you offer me a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. If anybody serves me, they become purified. Just serve me and love me. I'm actually your best friend. Before he does that, he talks about our position, karma, and the position of the soul. And then he presents himself as, I am actually like the source of everyone. And from me, all living entities are coming, and also the material energy. And I'm actually transcendental to both. I'm transcendental to time. And so Kunti is offering these prayers beginning like this. And so this prayer deals with how Krishna is within everything and without everything, right? This is a paradox. The Upanishads, which deal a lot with this kind of thing, Krishna's glories as the all-pervading and also as that which is situated, he who is situated within everyone, has these kinds of paradoxes, right? Normally, you can't have something be within something and outside of it at the same time. Krishna is within everybody, right? So Kunti is, as Prabhupada pointing out, there is this kind of puzzlement that somehow Krishna is, Prabhupada says, Kunti herself is puzzled about whether Sri Krishna is all-pervasive or localized. So sometimes people talk about how, if there's a supreme, they've got to be in everything, because how could anything be separate from that supreme, right? There's got to be like a way in which the supreme is there in the forest and there, in every moment and pervading and supporting everything. And that's true. And then someone else can say, but I experience the supreme as present in my heart. Like I can pray to them and they're like the witness, and they can experience me, and I can to some degree experience them. And that's also true. And someone else can say, well, I experience the supreme in this deity and in this mantra and as a person with personality. And that's also true. They're all simultaneously true. But as Prophet points out, but he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. in our japa reflection this morning, Mahatma Prabhu was saying that the one really helpful and ultimately necessary meditation for successful practice of mantra yoga, the practice of japa, is to meditate that I'm dependent on Krishna and I'm chanting in a mood of dependence that he can give me what I need. Whatever I require and whatever strength I could possibly have is coming from him ultimately. And this humility actually attracts Krishna. Humility comes from the Latin word for earth. If you're humble, you're down to earth. You're not with your head up in the clouds. There's no false reality. You're low. And that's our actual position. Before Kunti gets into her rasa position of being the aunt of Krishna, having this maternal love for him where she's like actually in superior position. Before she gets into that, she takes the humble role at. No. Actually, you're the supreme. And you're in everyone's heart and you're all pervading. And because of this humility, she has this understanding. Prabhupada points out, he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. So if one wants to understand Krishna, who is by nature beyond us, if one wants him to become visible to us, the only way for that to happen is if he chooses to do that. There is no other way, because by nature he's beyond us, so much beyond us that there's no comparison. We cannot force him to appear. We can force, through the power of our intelligence, our effort, we can force some understanding of the material nature. That also is imperfect, by the way, always. But that we can understand to some degree, and we can say like, oh, we've made progress. I didn't know this, and now I know it to some degree. Even if we could say I don't know it perfectly, I know to some degree. We could do like that. We can't do that with Krishna. That is not possible. If you actually want to understand him properly, he has to appear. So how do you make somebody appear? You can't make them. They're completely independent. And that realization is actually the essence of wisdom. That's the starting point. That's the humility, is that Krishna, I'm way down here. And whatever you are, you're so much beyond me. Please be kind enough to show yourself. In the Ishopanishad, there's a prayer like that. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham tattvam pushana pavranu satyatarmaya drishtaye. O Supreme, O Omnipotent One, your face is covered by the effulgence of your dazzling brilliance. Please remove that so that your devotee can see you. Right? Prabhupada talks about this as this checking curtain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, and it controls the limited vision of the rebellious soul.
Checking.
As soon as we demonstrate practical desire to not actively rebel, a practical desire to actually ask, can you show up on your terms? I'm open to that. Would you please be so kind as to show up? Only if you want. I can't make you, but I'm requesting. It's like in a conversation with somebody, Ever had a conversation with someone or an interaction, let's say, where it begins where they're like aggressive, confrontational, even nasty, Let's say they come and they get in your face and they say all these things and they start making accusations. And you can tell by their energy, they have an ulterior motive. They're not there to experience you. They're not there to receive you on your terms. They have an axe to grind. They have trauma they're working through. They have convinced themselves they're already right. Whatever their deal is, that is the supreme for them. That is what they're actually subordinate to right now. And you can look them in the eye and be like, listen, I'll engage in this conversation if you can show me you can actually respect my right to be in this conversation or not. Directly, you can say that, or indirectly with your body language or other words, you can indicate that to them. And as soon as they show that, let's say that, they say, oh, you know what? Actually, I'm sorry I yelled at you. Actually, I have my own stuff going on. This is not fair. I don't know what your deal is. Why don't you tell me what's going on? And they humble themselves. What happens? What happens is that
You soften.
you soften. You show them mercy. You actually approach them if you want to.
Mhm.
And I think for me, the desire to approach them increases. Oh, okay. Now you have moved yourself out of the way, because otherwise, I'm not going to waste your time, and I'm not going to waste my time.
Mhm.
So people ask, why can't I see God? It's well, why can't you see anybody? You think you can see them with your eyes, but no, you can only see them if they let themselves be seen.
Mhm.
This is the same answer. You can only see somebody if they want to be seen. So do you want to see God? And if you do, that's your qualification. If you don't, that's your disqualification. And if you do, all you have to do is ask for that with that mood of, I don't know, I can't know on my own. And that starts the whole process. That attracts him. Because he's not on a power trip. He's not trying to be losers, you can't see me because you suck. Because he doesn't need that. He doesn't need that's a material idea. He's not on a power trip. He's not some great, angry, egomaniacal father figure, king figure. No. He's super invested. You want to know me? What wonderful. And so this sincere reaching, asking, bears fruit. It may not bear immediate fruit, but it's always noticed by him, and it paves the way for the interactions and the connections and the association that you need to actually get deeper answers. And so, Kunti, although she's a great devotee, she's starting here. It's actually, look, you're existing both within and outside of everything. She's pointing out his contradiction. She's pointing out his supremacy, right, as a function of her humility. She's pointing out his position. You're actually so great, Krishna. Forget about my nephew or this or that. You're actually so great that no one can understand how you're supporting everything from the inside, and yet you're completely outside of everything and beyond everything. In theology, this is described as being transcendent and immanent. Immanent with an A, not imminent like about to happen. These are fancy words for meaning beyond everything and completely inside of everything. Krishna is both simultaneously. He mentions this early in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And she's also saying that you're the original personality, right? This is quite relevant because we have some understanding of personality because we're persons and we're surrounded by other persons. And Krishna is the Purusham Adyam. Namasye Purusham to Adyam. Adi means original, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Brahma's praying like that too. Govinda, the supreme person, I offer my respects to, obeisances to. Krishna is the original person. And this is easy to conceive of. If it's basically astonishing and you can't quite wrap your mind around, it's the idea of I as a person come from other people. I'm dependent. I have parents, right? Everybody has parents. Everybody has an experience of the time, at least within the context of the time factor, there's cause and effect. There's that which came before, right? Now, Krishna himself is beyond the time factor. That's a whole other level of, how do you get your mind around that? But actually, he's the cause of everything. And that makes him the original person. There's personhood here because he's a person. So this is also one thing she's saying. She's also saying, you are Ishvaram Prakriti Param. You're the controller and you're beyond matter, right? You're beyond matter. Prabhupada translates as you're unaffected by the qualities of the material world. This is another function of the Supreme, that matter, the material energy, the modes of nature, they're not things that he's floating through and dealing with like we are.
Mhm.
Every single living entity in the material world is dealing with the modes of nature. All of them. Even the pure devotee, although they're not necessarily like conditioned by them, they're not. They, because they're existing in the world, generally, for the most part, function according to the modes of nature, right? Like maybe they need less sleep, maybe they, you know, um, they're not swept up by like the pushings of anger and lamentation and so forth, but they still live within a body that functions more or less according to the laws of the material world while they're here, right? So this is the world, and um, Krishna is a complete exception to that.
Mm.
He's an exception to that because he's Prakritiv Param. He's beyond matter, and this is also a fundamental truth of Krishna that the supreme is actually beyond matter, and matter is actually one of his energies. And so it's important to understand that because literally 100% of everything in our experience is not like that. It's within matter, and is affected by it. So if we see a person or we have an idea, um, even if we like forget about person and like get into like Paramatma or Brahman, the all-pervading or the localized aspect, we'll tend to think of it as a conditioned thing. And Kunti is being very straightforward. Like, you're not conditioned. You're unaffected. You're put up. You're beyond all of that. So, as Prabhupada points out, that Krishna has the right to not be exposed to persons. If he doesn't want to be exposed to them, he has this checking curtain that checks their ability. He probably calls it the Maya energy. That's his energy, right? So Krishna is such that whatever he wants happens. His energy, like we all have energy, right? Let's say you want to do something. I want to get up and walk out of this room. I don't actually, but let's say I did. I can affect that, right? If my body decides to cooperate. I have some limited capacity within some limited context to apply my energy according to my will. Krishna is Sakti Sankalpa, which means whatever he wants happens. There's no gap between his desire and happening. There's no time or like strenuate, I have to push this body up. I played soccer yesterday, so it's kind of hard. No, it's like Sakti Sankalpa. Krishna's like, you're not ready for me? Maya, cover him. Cover her. They're covered perfectly, you know? There's no like, if you have somebody under your authority, you have to like check in on them. Are you doing your job properly? No. Perfect. Perfect obedience. Because Maya is a pure devotee.
Mm.
She's very powerful.
Mhm.
And as soon as Krishna sees, oh, they're open, release, let them in, give them a vision, attract them, give them some knowledge, give them some association. So this Maya energy that for us, we've been struggling with lifetime after lifetime, right? If we're really honest, we have a toxic relationship with Maya. We've been trying to own and control her. We've been trying to dominate her. We've been trying to make ourselves little Krishnas.
Mm.
That's our problem. For so many lifetimes, we've been doing that. This Maya energy, we've been wrestling with, struggling with. That same energy, as soon as we approach it in the right way of like, Krishna, this is your energy. You are supreme. And she is following your instructions. I just would like to know you. Then she very graciously helps us. She moves from being this harsh stepmother, wicked stepmother figure, taskmistress. Now she's a very loving, kind, sweet, gentle person because we're actually aligned, right? And then the nature of the world becomes clear. Oh, okay. Yeah, so this checking ability, these strict boundaries, they're here for a reason. They're actually compassion. It's not viciousness. It's actually kindness to help me not get off the track. There's a natural way in which I get corrected. So there's so much in these prayers. And the essence, just to review, is Kunti's humility by beginning with Krishna's transcendence and his greatness How he's the original person. He's beyond matter. So matters come from him. This Maya energy is his prerogative to cover or uncover anybody's vision. And now he's simultaneously within and outside of everything. And this contradiction, these contradictions are possible to understand by his mercy if we want that. Addiction. So, yeah, let's take some reflections on these points.
I really love the checking curtain.
Right.
And to understand it from that way, from that perspective of, and it's not about my being evil stepmother or the nurturing mom. It's like what we are ready for. And then the response comes accordingly. And you also said that,
Yeah, just on that point.
Yeah.
I get that example of like if somebody comes to you with
ulterior
ulterior
motive. Yeah.
you can give them the so-called cold shoulder.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like your energy. It's like you just turn away from them. You just don't give them the time of day. And that's Krishna's back. Is it Krishna's face? You don't want me? Okay, here it is, my back.
Yeah.
And that's his deluding energy. So you actually just distance yourself from somebody. So Krishna is just doing that to anybody who doesn't want it.
It's like the cold, not even the cold shoulder, but it's just like the veil of protection.
Yeah.
From
Yeah. You don't see me. Have there been situations where we could do that? Someone's just like rude and abrasive, and they have their own. It's like, okay, yoink.
Checking curtain down.
I'm gone.
Right.
You're not my.
Well, in some ways, Krishna empowers us to do that just through like having boundaries. Learning to,
right.
We can. That's what I was thinking of. Like the checking curtain is the divine boundary.
And if we can do that, then why can't he?
Yeah.
But he can do it perfectly.
Yeah.
And he can also uncover it perfectly.
Right. And he doesn't like carry then resentment around it or any of that. It's just like, okay, whenever you're ready, the curtain comes up. Whenever you're ready, I'll turn my face towards you.
He doesn't take offense. We can take offense.
Yeah.
Krishna's got no ego such as we have. Like he doesn't have a false ego where it's like, you hurt my feelings, well, forget about you. No. Oh, you want me? I'm here. I'm always here for you.
Right.
Always here.
And the ways in which even those of us that are aspiring devotees, and practicing devotional life and living bhakti, like we can have moments where we forget that and the curtain comes down, right? And Midori Gopi and I were talking about like how Krishna stretches us in like the perfect way at the perfect time, even though it's painful for us, but it's like just enough that we can handle it and then we can grow through it. And right. And I was just thinking about how maybe even sometimes that curtain, it can feel like the curtain's down, but it's for a reason. Like you said, sincere reaching for Krishna. Like maybe we become complacent or we're not sincerely reaching, right? And it becomes more methodical or mechanical, rather, our practice, that is. It's like you might feel like, whoop, the curtain came down a little bit. You might be more attracted to Maya, right? And then it's like, oh, if you sincerely reach, phew, that curtain goes back up and you can experience that surrender and connection again. So
that's very much the experience of the advancing devotee. It's like it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And we're getting trained. It's responsive. Like you're getting trained that there's consequences to your actions. You can have what you want. Like Krishna's it doesn't take away your free will. You can choose to be like intoxicated with Maya and be interested in owning and controlling and forgetting about him. You can choose that, even temporarily, and he'll give that to you.
Mm-hmm.
But for somebody who's advancing in bhakti, Krishna explains, if somebody is serving me and they're also trying to own and control and enjoy Maya, then I give them what they want, but I give it in such a way that they don't want it.
Mm.
Like he reserves the right to be kind enough to not enable you into your toxic addictions. Like a real friend is one who doesn't just blindly take your requests. I remember when I was a kid, my sister and I really had a problem with how my dad was smoking. And so we started with like, sometimes he would say, can you get me my lighter? And I'd be like, no. What are you talking about? I'm like, no, I love you. I don't want you to smoke. I'm not going to get you a lighter. And that's because I care about you and it's not good for you. And he eventually quit, right? Good for, he did the work. But the point is, he didn't want to enable him. Krishna's not going to enable his beloved devotees. He'll actually he'll give it to you because he honors your free will, but he also gives you enough understanding to be like, well, wait a minute, are you sure you want that? Because you can have me, and here's what it's like without me. Here's what it was. Here's like a little time capsule. You can go back to what it was like before. You can have this experience of the curtain dropping, and you're like, oh yeah, this was
tough.
This is not what I want. I thought I wanted it for a second. I actually still want you, Krishna. And he's there again. And yeah, it's very common experience. He's not an enabler. He's a real friend.
Thank you.
More reflections.
Hi, Krishna.
How'd it go?
I was thinking about how, especially when you're thinking about when you said something about then he sends in Maya, right? Like you're not as engaged, or you're not as whatever, then he sends in Maya. And it's an interesting thing because I remember hearing a long time ago in a Rana Swami lecture about complacency, and really it really struck me about complacency. And how I was just at the time, I was like, how could I ever become complacent in bhakti? And how is that possible? I love this. This is never going to happen. and then I realized, in these moments where sometimes you become complacent in bhakti. And it's in those moments, it was a nice reflection or connection for me that when you said that, it's oh yeah, things can get especially hard if I am in a complacent spot in my life, actually, in my practice, in my, whatever it may be, in that, these things. I also believe, like you said, Maya is a devotee of Krishna, and she's here to bring us closer to him and to kind of help guide us a little bit, steer us back on the right path. And so if we allow it, right, if we allow it and we remember Krishna. But I just really appreciated that and just helping me make that connection. So thank you.
Yeah. Somebody, it's kind of a natural conclusion. This is so great. This is actually the greatest thing. It is. You're not wrong. So how could I possibly forget it? Well, Krishna says in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam imam raja shayoviduhu sakali neha mahata yoga nashtaf parantapa 4:2, that in this way, person after person, I shared the supreme knowledge with the great saintly kings, but in due course of time, the science as it is appears to be lost. Therefore, I'm explaining it again. Never underestimate the capacity of the living entity to forget. Never underestimate Maya's capacity to cover us, because Krishna is the greatest, and we're also still subordinate to Maya. She's still ruling this place, and we are still being trained. We're still developing our capacity to be steady. And so at any moment we can forget. So famous pastime Srila Prabhupada praying in front of the deities. One devotee asks him, Srila Prabhupada, if I may ask you, what do you pray for in front of the deities? And he says, I pray that I may not fall down. I may not forget. And the devotee is surprised, but Prabhupada, you won't fall down. You're a pure devotee. You can't fall down. Prabhupada says, this is why I don't fall down.
Because I pray for it.
Because I pray like this. So, yeah, there is this way in which it is the greatest, and also it's important to not take it for granted, recognize the preciousness and our littleness. In our practice, if we're always in the humble position, the position of Krishna, I need you because me, Krishna, I could go off on a tangent and get lost for a couple lifetimes. Please don't take yourself away. Please, I choose you. You're the best. I've decided that. And if we're always in that mood of I'm not a big deal. I'm not liberated. Even if you are, even if you become liberated, don't think you are. None of our acharyas thought they are. None of our acharyas presented themselves as being liberated. Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't talk like he's liberated. He prayed, Oh, Gopinath, I'm the most fallen. All the bad qualities that are possible, you find them in my character. even though I am the reservoir of all these awful qualities, please be so kind that you appear to me. This is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying. So this attitude of humility is like what saves you from drifting off into the ether and forgetting about Krishna for some time, whether it's a couple seconds or a couple of lifetimes. And it's that sense of like, oh, I'm a big deal, or like entitlement, that actually is the trap. That's a slippery slope. The next thing you know, like, whoa, what happened? Oh, wow. I fell into Maya again. So
I think there's 3 words that really came up for me: complacency, victimization, and entitlement. So I think that there's, when we forget about Krishna, or we forget about our purpose, right? And remembering who Krishna is that we have kind of two ways to go. We either say, I deserve this, I earn this,
Yeah.
it's all about me.
I got Krishna.
Or
It's in my
it's-
pocket now.
Right. Or it's like, oh, woe is me, all of these things are happening to me, and how do I, people hate me and all the things, but none of it's about us, right? It's about us remembering and us giving back, because Krishna really has been merciful to give us this opportunity to remember.
Yeah. Complacency means that you're remembering Krishna, but you're forgetting your position. And victimhood is you're remembering your position, but you're forgetting Krishna. Oh, I'm so small. Boo-hoo. Yeah.
Interesting, perhaps why, if we distill all of our philosophy down into 2 things, the 2 most important things, it's always remember Krishna and never forget him.
Yeah. And like in breaking down the idea of always remembering Krishna and never forgetting him, like the main point I think I'm making today is that it really begins with remembering our position in relationship to him, our humility. As all the prayers in the Bhagavatam begin with like these descriptions of Krishna's greatness, Kunti's begin like this too. They're going to get more and more personal. She's going to speak. She's going to cry from the heart. Her deep devotional desires. We're going to have the privilege of hearing that in a few verses, but it begins with like, you're inside and outside everything. You're actually beyond matter. You are the supreme person. Somehow you've made that all work, because if you can be in that mode, then it really supports remembering Krishna and never forgetting it. And all this other stuff, complacency, I'm the victim, blah blah blah, these are all ways of forgetting that are symptomatic of not having that alignment. Martin.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Just quick, I enjoy the topic of transcendence and immanence very much, because it is, it's something that I've been hearing about ever since I was a kid, about what God, like the quality of God, is. And I like what you said, that it's only possible to understand by his mercy. And it's so true, because the way Kunti here is just, has so much humility to just recognize it and understand it. And just, I think about, like, for myself, sometimes it's very hard to accept that, or even to begin to understand it. The ego has all these ways of ignoring it, or being ignorant to it, or finding ways to be like, no, it's not measurable. It's not, there's no scientific, modern science has no way of understanding this, so therefore it can't be. There's all these ways to pretend it doesn't exist, type of thing.
Krishna will
It's
give you
a nice reminder today. Yeah.
To set him aside and
Yeah.
And then I appreciate your point that like just we can actually like take that position. Transcendence, immanence. Just a little bit of an aside. one of the interesting things philosophically about the Vedic paradigm is that it's really not dualistic, which means often in like Abrahamic religions and therefore in Abrahamic worldview, it's either this thing or it's that thing,
Mhm.
right?
Black and white.
Right. Something is either true or it's false.
Mm.
That's not how the Vedic paradigm works. It's actually a 2 by 2 matrix. It's true or it's false or it's neither true nor false or it's both true and false.
Mhm.
And those 4 things have 4 distinct realities. Krishna is simultaneously both within and outside of everything. He's transcendent and immanent. Both are true. Simultaneously. He doesn't take turns being one or the other. He's both.
Mm.
That's possible for him.
Mhm.
And so like a lot of the wrangling philosophically has been around it's this, no, it's that, because they have different camps, right? With their own realizations. It's like, no, God is this. No, there's no God. It's like Krishna is actually supporting all of that to be experienced simultaneously. Madhuri Gopri is saying in the chat. I've also been thinking a lot about the self-acceptance of our acharyas to be so humble in even acknowledging their flaws, let alone holding them while approaching Krishna. And it's such an inspiration for complete surrender. It's so touching. Yeah. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who appeared today, one of the so many timeless contributions. If he had just done this, it would have been like an all-timer. But one of his contributions is his bhajans are they contain like the totality of the philosophy, and they contain this glimpse, not even glimpse, he's very generous in presenting himself, this like deep insight into the mentality and heart of a pure devotee. So one of the aspects of that you're pointing out is that, yeah, radical self-acceptance and radical self-knowledge, even though at the time he composed that Bhajan Gopinath, which I paraphrased earlier, he was not a conditioned soul. He had a deep understanding of what he was capable of. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, under the force of his Leela in this world, he started from a certain place and he had an arc, and he even ate meat. This is controversial in our line to even mention it, but he did. He gave it up. He found higher knowledge. So he had an understanding of what it is to be conditioned, and he had this radical self-acceptance of that. He did not run from it. He saw all of it, and he's like, here it is, Krishna. You know all this stuff about me. I'm taking it all. I'm just humbly laying at your feet. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to blame anybody else for it. I'm neither complacent nor a victim. I'm just like, I'm yours, good or bad. You please help me. And that's incredibly deep insight that he gives us. So it's the whole philosophy is there in the bhajans and an insight into the pure devotee. And they're also just like in the parlance of our times, they're total bangers. These bhajans are so good. They all have the earworm. They're so super, super like catchy. So I recommend listening to them, reading them. You can read. We have a couple here, right?
Surrender.
Yeah, Sharanagati. You have it on the bookshelf. You can learn them in the songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas and just get a glimpse. It's like people read, Bob Dylan's lyrics or, Taylor Swift, and oh wow, they're so deep. It's like, what happens if a pure devotee writes a song and a poem? Well, just find out. There's a lot there. There's a lot there in this bhajan, so we'd be remiss if we didn't mention them. That's all I got. Any more reflections or comments? Okay, well, may Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all of our acharyas guide us in this path of radical self-acceptance and humility and reaching out to Krishna. Even if we've been neglecting him for some time, he's always available with no hard feelings, no false ego. He's ready to accept us. May he lead us to calling out for him. Jai. And so, on that note, let's offer a humble obeisances down to all the Vaishnava devotees of the world. They're just like desire trees. They can fulfill the desires of the conditioned soul, and they're full of compassion for all the fallen, conditioned living entities. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Subhashina Thakur ki jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thanks, everyone.